Let's now interact with Abhinash Verma, Director General of ISMA, to talk about what are the budget expectations for the entire sugar sector. Abhinash, good morning. Thank you for joining us. The buzz on sugar control is getting louder and louder, and there is a strong belief that this time around sugar will be decontrolled. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of news on the reforms in the sugar sector. And if I go by the Rangarajan Committee recommendations, which I believe the government is quite strictly following, we understand that the reforms will take place in two phases. And the first phase would include the decontrol of the sugar sales side. And we understand that the levy sugar obligation from the sugar mills and the regulated release mechanism, both these controls would go away.
How soon can the notification be expected, and what would be the immediate impact of the same on the industry?
The news that is flowing in, and what we understand is probably it will happen very soon in the next 10-15 days, and most probably by the time the budget is presented. First of all, if we talk about the levy sugar obligation, we all know that the industry loses about 3,000 crore every year, because we have to bear the social welfare program of the government, burden of the social welfare program, and we have to supply this levy sugar at a discounted price. So straight away we stand to reduce our losses or improve our profits by 3,000 crore annually. Secondly, on the regulated release mechanism front, if you see that we are told by the government every month or every quarter how much of sugar we can sell, which means we have no control over our cash flows. The moment this is also abolished, we can plan our cash flows better, we can pay the farmers on time, we can reduce our burden of very high working capital, which involves an interest rate of almost 14 to 16%. So overall, we see that our cost of production will go down because of our lower inventory carrying costs and reduced levy sugar burden that it will follow. That levy sugar burden we will not need to give to the government.
So this is the first phase of decontrol. And when do you see the next phase of decontrol roll in?
The Rangarajan Committee actually has proposed, divided the whole reform program into two parts, sugar sales side and the sugar cane side. So the first phase that we are talking about or expecting is the deregulation of the sugar sales side, as I mentioned, in the levy sugar burden and the regulated release mechanism. Sugar cane side actually involves two or three parts. One is the sugar cane pricing, second is the cane area reservation, and the minimum distance between two sugar mills. The Rangarajan Committee has recommended that since these affect the farmers directly, the government and the industry need to consult the farmers over a period of next 2 years, wherein the state governments are also pitch in. And the second phase of reforms, we expect that it should take off in the next couple of years.
So with the two steps decontrol, is there a fear of no control in how much and when the mills would sell?
You're very right. That is an apprehension that all of us have today. Because the moment we get freedom and we have the pressure to meet the farmers' payments, or we have pressures to meet the bank repayments, the chances of people actually selling more sugar in the market will be higher. They would like to compare their inventory carrying costs with the immediate repayment burden. And therefore, initially we fear that too much of sugar might flow into the market and the prices might come down in the initial about few months. But as time moves on and as we learn through the whole process, I'm sure we'll all understand, and then through our experiences try and manage things better, manage our sales better, manage our inventories better. And over a period of time, I believe that this industry will stabilize and the freedom will actually attract a lot of investments in this sector, which will further reduce our costs.
Abhinash, so what are your thoughts on sugar prices, and are sugar markets factoring in all the budget upside?
First of all, if the levy sugar burden is taken away from the sugar industry, I see a small benefit going to the open market consumers, because the open market consumers are also partially cross-subsidizing the levy sugar burden today. So I see a small correction there as far as levy sugar burden is concerned. But if you see, this is almost matching with the off-season. Our crushing will be over by the end of March in most of the places. So from April, we will not have that kind of burden on us to pay to the farmers, and therefore we can plan our sugar sale better. Therefore, initially, as I mentioned, the prices might come down slightly because of excess sale into the market, but at the same time, the burden to pay to the farmers is less. So both of them should trade off, and therefore I feel that in the next 6 months or so, the prices might move down, but over a period of time it should stabilize, and then the prices should improve to allow us to cover our costs. Today, if you see, our costs are in Uttar Pradesh is about 36, we are getting a 32 rupee price. In Maharashtra, it's about 33, 34, we're getting about 30 rupees. So if we have the freedom to sell, then I believe our ex-mill prices should move or crawl up to cover our costs.
Right. So, Mr. Verma, what are the latest output figures as per ISMA till time for this season?
We expect the production to be around 166 lakh tons, so which is slightly higher to last year. But the more important thing that we have noticed is about 8 mills in Maharashtra have closed down, 6 mills in Karnataka have closed down, and 2 mills in Andhra Pradesh have closed down. Last year, if we compare this position, last year 15th February, no mill had actually closed down. So even though this 166 lakh tons of sugar production up to February 15th is slightly higher to last year by about 2–2.5%, the tail now will be actually showing up, and more mills will start closing up, and over a period of time, I think by the end of March, we'll get a very, very clear picture, and our estimate of 243 lakh tons, we stick to that.
All right, Abhinash, appreciate the time, and thank you for your insights.